Well, there's been a lot of talk in the papers this week, a lot of anti-cycling rhetoric, and that came about because of our rather ridiculous transport minister, who decided to pick a fight with cyclists. So why would he pick a fight with cyclists? Government's been telling us how they're trying to encourage cycling. It's all a bit confusing. Well, the problem is we have a populist government who go about pitting people against each other as a way of covering up for their own failings. Grant Shapps doesn't care about cyclists. He cares about division. He cares about turning people against each other. But it didn't stop the anti-cycling lobby jumping straight on it. So why does the anti-cycling lobby even exist, you might ask? And the answer to that is two-part, and they are related. I grew up in South Africa. I was taken there when I was 6 years old. When I came back to Britain, something became very obvious to me, is that British people have an attitude of, if I don't do it, nobody in the world should be allowed to. And the other one is jealousy. Look at those cyclists out there enjoying themselves. I'm not enjoying myself, so why should they be allowed to? Nevertheless, Grant Shapps did get the reaction he wanted. And people have been arguing with each other about this for the last 2 days. So here we are in a 20-mile-an-hour limit, and I'm doing just under 12 miles an hour. The idea that cyclists are constantly speeding is frankly ridiculous. Whilst I'm by no means a good cyclist, I'm not particularly unfit. And there's no way I could maintain 20 miles an hour through this section. So there was a phone in on the wireless last night. Several people phoning in to talk about how bad cyclists really are. It's always interesting, these people who phone in I've been driving a car for 40 years or more, and I've never had a cyclist crash into it. Yet people that phone into radio shows morning tell you it happens every day, quite literally. They phone in and make statements like, I can't tell you how many times a cyclist has crashed into my car. And on the odd occasion where a cyclist does crash into a car, it tends to cause more damage to the bike than the car. And in fact, seems to be very little damage done to cars. I mean, let's be honest, people on YouTube are continually sharing videos of how, in their opinion, silly cyclists go crashing into things. Never see any damage on the car. Yet the people who phone in, untold damage to their car, thousands of pounds. One person phoned in claiming to be a cyclist himself, and then proceeded for the next 10 minutes to list everything he hates about cyclists. To the point the presenter even asked him, he said, if you hate cyclists so much, why do you do it? I'm going to suggest he wasn't a cyclist. As one of my school teachers used to say, anything that comes before a but in a sentence is usually a lie. I'm a cyclist, but. I'm not a racist, but. But of course, the other thing is that we have this British exceptionalism. Morning. So we have people saying, yeah, I know, Grant Shapps is right. All cyclists are bad. You're a cyclist, are you bad? Oh no, he didn't mean me, he meant the others. Another phone in yesterday was about Liz Truss calling the nation useless and lazy. And people kept phoning in to say, yes, they are. And when you ask them, so you're lazy and useless, they go, oh, no, she didn't mean me, it's the others. So should cyclists have number plates? Of course not. It's an absolutely ridiculous idea. Impossible to administer and absolutely no gain whatsoever. Should bicycles have insurance? Again, absolutely ridiculous idea. The only people that would gain are the insurance companies. They wouldn't pay out if you did make a claim. But the number of incidents are incredibly small. The amount of damage that a bicycle does to a car is incredibly small. It's just not worth it. Somebody claimed that their car had been hit several times by a cyclist when parked. Well, I'm suggesting you're probably parking in a cycle lane then, because nobody else's car is getting hit several times. And then there's the other one that they love, road tax. Well, they sit in their 2-ton metal box saying, why shouldn't cyclists pay to use the roads? Well, we do. The fact is, road tax was scrapped in 1937. Roads come out of general taxation. And I do pay road tax for my car. I pay income tax. I pay value-added tax. I pay fuel tax. I pay council tax. So if you're worried that I'm not paying towards using the road, you're completely wrong. But as I said, all of this is really done by a failing government. A government that wants you to hate each other rather than look at their failings. Look over there, don't look at what we're doing while we're taking all your money and giving it to our mates. Look over there. It's the foreigners that are the problem. Look over there. It's the cyclists that are the problem. Bloody sheep. But you see again, should I be complaining? Should I moan? Sheep got in my way when I was cycling? Of course not. We need sheep for meat, for wool. Ah, yeah, but we should hate cyclists because they get in the way. Do they really? No, not really. I just don't like them. Why? They go through red lights. Oh, really? And how does that affect your day? How much quicker do you get home if a cyclist sits at a red light instead of just nipping round the corner? That really is the problem. This attitude of why should somebody else do something that I can't. And of course the fact of the matter is, you can. Go and get yourself a bike. I had somebody the other day move across to the white line to try and block me going past a line of a line of cars at a traffic light. How much quicker was he going to get home because of it? Not at all. Didn't like the idea that I might have an advantage over him. After all, he had an expensive open-top BMW. He was obviously more important than me. And then we get the idea that cyclists should all use cycle lanes. Well, guess what? This route we've been on today, there haven't been any. And where there are cycle lanes, they tend to be quite inconvenient. Generally they have a lot of dog walkers and so on, which is fine, they're entitled to be there, I don't begrudge them. But it just makes it easier for me to ride on the road. A lot of the cycle lanes have gates on them. And whilst you're sitting in your car going, well, I don't see the problem, how would you feel if every time you got to a roundabout you had to stop, get out your car, open a gate and then get back in before you could get going. Now I'm going to stop at these lights because it would be dangerous not to. And this is the other strange idea that non-cyclists have, is that cyclists just blindly ride through red lights. They don't, because they want to be safe. They don't want to hurt themselves. Now I went through the lights on orange, and this van here was clearly behind me, so he went through a red light. But he'd be the first to complain if a cyclist went through a red light. And going back to this idea of number plates and insurance, some people even want cyclists to have to pass a test. Well, think about it. How are we going to get children to school? What about all these city bikes? How are you going to prove you've passed your test? And where are you going to get your insurance from? There's a reason that no country in the world has number plates on bikes. And the reason is, it's a bloody silly idea and it doesn't work. So here we are. We've been going for 13.5 miles and we finally got to a cycle path. Pretty much the only one in Bridgend. And because it's a very pleasant little path through a park, lots and lots of people, particularly dog walkers. So it's very slow going. Morning. And it's got gates, of course. In fact, this section on Strava is called Mind the Dogs. So, do you think bikes should have number plates? Of course not. It's just stupid. Thank you. And that gives you an idea of the sort of progress you can make on a cycle path.